Hey, what's up, my beautiful people? It is Monday, it is 8:30, and it is time to welcome you back to Conversations with Teresa. I'm Teresa Aline. And here we talk about all things that have to do with midlife, perimenopause, and personal power. So today's conversation is a big one. For the first time in over 20 years, the FDA has reversed its black box warning on hormone therapy for menopause. You know, that scary label that made it sound like HRT could automatically lead to like heart disease or breast cancer or dementia. That label now is gone. It's been all over the news all week. And I want us to unpack what that really means, like not just in a medical world, but in our everyday lives. Because for so many women, that black box warning, it didn't just change prescriptions, it really changed the perception. It scared us as women, it silenced us as women, and it made a whole generation of women suffer through symptoms that really could have been managed safely. So, today we're going to talk about what this change means psychologically, practically, and powerfully for women in midlife. And let me just say this right up front, I am not a medical professional. This episode is for educational and informational purposes only. And every body is different. So you should always, always, always talk to your doctor or qualified menopause specialist before making any decisions about hormone therapy or treatment options, anything like that. All right. But for real, this is worth understanding. So let's start with the facts. In 2002, actually, it was a major study called the Women's Health Initiative. And it made headlines suggesting that hormone therapy increased the risk of breast cancer, heart disease, and stroke. And almost overnight, millions of women stopped taking it. There were things that were making them feel better and they just stopped taking it. The doctors pulled the prescriptions, and the fear, it spread so fast. Like literally, it just felt like it was overnight. But here's the thing, that study had limitations that it didn't talk about. It didn't focus on women who were just entering menopause, the ones most likely to benefit, right? So many of the participants, they were older. They were already advanced in years and beyond menopause, and they had other risk factors. So over time, fortunately, new research showed like a more nuanced pictures. Like for many healthy women who begin hormone therapy near the start of menopause, the benefits can outweigh the risks. And now, after years of advocacy and data, the FDA is acknowledging that. They removed that black box warning, which means HRT can be discussed more openly without that shadow of automatic fear. Now, this doesn't mean everyone should take hormones. It never did. But it does mean that you can have a real conversation with your healthcare provider without being met with like a stigma or misinformation. So now let's talk about the psychological impact for a second. For years, so many of us have been told you just have to deal with it. Hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings. You guys know the brain fog, the joint pain, all brushed off as normal. And yeah, I mean, the symptoms of perimenopause is normal, right? It's natural, but suffering is not mandatory. All right. The FDA's decision represents something bigger than a label. It's permission. It's like permission revisit options, to ask questions again, to advocate for yourself without feeling dismissed or dramatic. And that's huge, especially for women who grew up watching their mothers or aunties tough it out. Many people inherited the idea that just push through. But this shift is saying you deserve comfort, clarity, and care. You don't just have to push through anymore. And it's also a reminder that science evolves. And when the science changes, we're allowed to change too. So let's bring this down to daily life. Here's what could shift for us practically. More doctors may feel confident prescribing HRT. That means fewer "we don't do that here" conversations. Insurance coverage, it could expand because if the FDA changes its stance, the payers usually follow. And then there's more education for providers and patients, especially around the different forms of therapy: estrogen only, combined therapy, patches, gel, bioidentical options, and the quality of life improvements: better sleep, stable mood, stronger bones, clearer thinking. Good night. I need some of that. And even when we think about our heart, the benefits of our heart, it's so, so important. And that's just to name a few. So when we get to be our age, for many women, it's not about vanity, about how we look, or did I break out into a sweat or anything about that. It's really about vitality. It's really about being able to get through, to live life to the best that we can live. All right. And yet, this is also a moment to pause. I told you that was one of my favorite words: this menopause, perimenopause, that pause. And just because it's safer, it doesn't mean that it's for everyone. Don't forget timing, dosage, family history, personal health, all of that matters. So, again, we go back to making sure that we are paying attention, talking with our doctors, asking questions, and really advocating for ourselves. So that's why step one is to find a menopause informed healthcare provider, someone who understands that your symptoms are real, that your experience is valid, and that your treatment should be personalized. There's not a one size fits all. I have a list of perimenopause, menopause specialists available if you join the Thrive Tribe on my website. I'm confident you'll be able to find someone near you if you live in the Boston area. That's the listing that I have. So, so, so important. So make sure that you go to teresaaline.com and sign up for the Thrive Tribe. And that would be one of the gifts, treats, and just information that's given. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about empowerment, because this movement is deeply emotional for a lot of women. We've been told for decades that our bodies were too risky, too unpredictable, or too hormonal to trust. And yet, here we are. We're watching science catch up with us. Many women already knew that our well being in midlife matters. And now science is telling us, you know, all right, we'll take it. We'll take it, right? This is more than a medical update. It's like a cultural correction, right? And if you've ever felt dismissed or unheard or invisible at a doctor's office, I see you. This decision might be the nudge to say, I'm ready to revisit the conversation. It's also a wake up call for all of us to stay informed, not to blindly accept or reject treatments, but to engage, to partner in our care. Because real empowerment, it doesn't come from doing what everyone else does. It comes from making informed choices that align with our body, our needs, and our season in life. So, there are a few common questions or thoughts that come up all the time. We'll walk through some of these things that I'm sure that some of you as listeners are wondering about. Is it too late for me? Maybe not. If you're within 10 years of your last period or under the age of 60, research shows that that you still may be a candidate for this. But again, you're going to talk to your provider about that. And then another question that comes up is, what if I have a family history of breast cancer? Well, that's me and my family. My family has an incredible history of cancer. Um, and that's an important conversation to have with your doctor. The type of hormone, the delivery method, and your unique risk factors, they all play a role. So when you go to the doctor, make sure you do not hold back. That's why it's so important that we're talking with our family members, that we know what is going on in our family history, because that needs to be brought to the table. And then another question, are there non-hormonal options? Absolutely. Lifestyle, nutrition, and newer non-hormonal medication can help. And some women do great with those alone. What about women of color? Excellent question. Historically, women of color have been underrepresented in menopause research and underserved in care in general. So, this is also a call for inclusion, for more research that reflects our experiences, and more providers who understand our cultural and medical realities. So, what can you do right now? Let's talk about some of the practical things. First of all, you want to educate yourself. Read reputable sources like the North American Menopause Society or the Mayo Clinic. You want to provide oh my goodness, you want to find a provider who listens to you. If your doctor dismisses your symptoms, it's okay to find another doctor. That is totally fine. You got permission, you got the resources to be able to do so. You also want to track your symptoms, your sleep, your mood, your cycle changes, your energy. Write them down so that when you go to the doctor, you have some data to bring to your appointment so that you can really have a really in-depth conversation about it. And then join communities. I'm glad that you're here, right? You want to connect with other women navigating the same stage. We learn from one another, not from just one source. So again, go onto the website, keep watching this podcast, and talk about it. That's going to be super, super important. Not everyone is comfortable talking about their perimenopause symptoms or their menopause symptoms, but if you start talking about it, it gives permission for other people to talk about it, and therefore communities can be formed. All right. And then also just stay curious. Don't be fearful. The more informed you are, the more options you have. All right. So let's zoom out for a second. So this FDA decision, it doesn't erase the years of confusion or the frustration we've lived through, but it does offer a kind of hope. It's like the hope that women's health is finally being re-examined with the nuance and care. Like the hope that future generations won't have to choose between relief and fear. I feel like this generation right now, that's where we're at. We're like, we don't have to do that anymore. And that is so relieving. We can talk about it. We also have hope that you will continue to be your best advocate. You know your body, you know what you're going through. And so you can talk, you can say what you need to say. And again, if your doctor is not listening to you, find another one who will listen to what you have to say, because it is absolutely important. Because this moment isn't just about hormones, it's about honoring your whole self, your mind, your body, and your spirit. So, whether you choose hormone therapy or not, the bigger win is having the choice, informed, empowered, and unapologetic. We have that choice. And always remember, you are not broken, you are becoming. So if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who is walking through menopause or perimenopause. talk to, again, aunties and cousins and little younger women who are in your life. Let's keep this conversation going because silence has never, ever, ever served us, but sisterhood always will. Don't forget, visit teresaleen.com for resources and upcoming events. And remember, you are allowed to feel good. So until next time, stay curious, stay confident, and stay connected. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday. Have a great week.